Today in this video, I'm going to share some tips with those people who are real estate residential investors. People who are already residential real estate investors or wanna be residential real estate investors. There are different types of properties that you can invest in, and there are different types of ownership that you can use to invest in the properties. Now, first I wanna say that if you are a seller of a residential real estate property, you need to make sure that all the repairs are done on time. Do not leave any outstanding repairs, because I'm a real estate agent in Mississauga and I have seen that whenever a buyer wants to see some investor's property, more or less they are looking at the property as an investor, because when they see that this is a property owned by an investor, even if the person or the buyer is willing to buy a house as a principal resident, he would be thinking about making some money out of that property. So he would look at the property with that perspective. He would see that, okay, if this investor has taken good care of this property or not. Alright, this is not well done. The repairs need to be done on the roof, repairs need to be done in electrical equipment, heating equipment, and so on and so forth. So if that buyer, even if he was interested in the property, he's not going to have very good impression. So do the repairs, do not leave them. If there is a principal resident who is living in his property, he can afford to delay those repairs, but as an investor you cannot. If you have done those delays and now in the end when you are trying to sell that property, listing that property, it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of money to fix all those things, and all those things are not going to be fixed as well as it would have been fixed when you had timely repaired. Okay, so keep that in mind. And another thing is that when you are selling a real estate property, which is an investment property, you make some gains out of it. Most of the time, investors, they want to make gains. Those are capital gains, and some portion of it is going to be included in your income. So you have to be mindful of that. Consult some income tax professional or lawyer to see what you have to pay and what you not have to pay if you sell your property. Now, we're going to talk about different type of ownerships that you can use to own a property. Number one is sole proprietorship. Number two is partnership, limited partnership, corporation, real estate investment trust, joint venture. Now, the most common of the ownerships are sole proprietorship or corporation, because sole proprietorship is when you buy the property as person. So your liability is the property's liability. Property's liability is your liability. Now, that means if you default on mortgage, you can be sued for your other assets, right? But if you invest or buy some property as a corporation, you built a corporation and that corporation is buying that property, so there are two entities created, you as a person and then corporation. So the corporation's liability is corporation's liability, your liabilities are your liabilities. The company is going to be sued if mortgage is not paid. You are not going to be sued. Similarly, there are many different benefits and drawbacks. One of the drawbacks is that sole proprietorship is very cheap, but in corporation you have to invest some money. There are more expenses, there are some regulations you need to follow from province, from federal government. So you need a professional to establish your corporation. Also, do your cost and benefit analysis and find which ownership is best suited for you. Now, what type of properties you can invest in as an investor? There are many type of properties out there, but we are talking about residential dwelling units. You know, the set of rooms, kitchen, bath, and one egress to exit. Now, these are the units that you would be investing in as a residential investor. So first one would be duplex, in which you have two residential units, two dwelling residential units, maybe side by side or maybe stacked one above the other. They are low in price. You need very low down payment to buy them. If you buy them, you can live in one of the unit and rent out the next unit, or you can also rent out both the units and start making money. You are creating positive cash flow. Remember, you have to take care of your numbers. You have to calculate how much expenses you're gonna incur for that duplex and how much money you're gonna make, because you need to have some positive cash flow at the end of the day. Second is triplexes. Similarly, duplexes have two units, triplexes have 3 units. They could be side by side or maybe stacked. They are also very good investment to generate income, but there is one drawback, that they are not as good as other detached properties when it comes to resale. Third option is fourplexes. Yes, 4 individual units with different entrances are in one building, maybe on the ground floor, all of them, or maybe in 2 floors, 2 units on the first floor, 2 units on the ground floor. They are very good investment. You need low down payments. You can also make more money as compared to the previous other options because you have more units to rent out, and these buildings, they are not too big, so the maintenance is also low. The fourth option is row houses or townhouses. They are called row houses because if you look them from afar, they look like a row, but if you go closer, you see different entrances in the unit, so those are townhouses. So hence the word row house come from looking like a row from afar. These are better options when it comes to tenants because tenants think that it is cheaper considering the space available to them in townhouse. So low vacancy rate is common in townhouses. They will always be rented out, so it is a good investment. The investor does not have to worry about vacant unit, and the unit is not giving you any money. You're still paying the mortgage or whatever the expenses are related with that. Townhouses, in townhouses these days do have some property management fees also. The only drawback of that, there is not much privacy there because the walls are being shared with other units. 2 houses, 4 families are on each side of just one family who's renting this townhouse, so you have to take care of that. Now you can also invest in multi-residential buildings. Multi-residential buildings, when they are more than 4 units available for people to rent. These types of buildings are all around Canada in developed cities, most populated cities, older cities. Now there could be low-rise building. The low-rise building has like 1 story, 2 story, 3 stories. There are not a lot of units in it, or 4 stories or 5 stories even. That's it. These are low-rise buildings. Sometimes they have elevators in them. Most of the times there are no elevators. People have to use their stairs. So this is something not liked by tenants because tenants, they don't want to always use stairs. Imagine someone living on the 5th floor, they would want to have some elevator and use those elevators all the time. This is common. So tenancy in this case, vacancy is quite sometimes a challenge here, but otherwise these investments are also good. Crunch your numbers. Similarly, you can also buy high-rise buildings. Now, low-rise buildings are not created with this state-of-the-art facility kind of a thing. Low-rise buildings have like masonry construction, but high-rise buildings do have steel structures sometimes. They do have lobbies, common areas. They are big, they are multi-stories, and they are unmanageable without a property manager. If you're an investor and you think that you can manage it, it better be a full-time property manager in that building. But as an investor, you will need some part-time worker at least to manage the property, to answer the calls of all the tenants and do the repair works if anything is needed. Sometimes there are security issues, sometimes tenants have some questions so they can approach a property manager in this case. Then comes condominiums and cooperatives. Now condominiums, they have become a very good option for investors. They have become very attractive options. Mostly this has something to do with the marketing strategies of the developers and the builders in Canada. For example, a lot of condos have been sold to the investors directly. They were selling the units, the condos, with rental guarantee that for the first year you will be getting $3,000 per month if you buy this property. So what they were doing is they were building the condo, finding the tenant who would pay them monthly rent, and then sell the property to the investor. So as an investor, this has become very common. A lot of people have actually bought these units, and it's a good investment if you consider how much you are willing to pay in down payment. You have to bring down your expenses. You need to keep your cash flow positive. So you have to keep in mind that there is monthly maintenance fee every month you pay, which you ultimately would be charging the tenant, but you need to make sure that you are still cash positive, because these maintenance fees, they actually go up every year. Rent, probably not. There is not always a case you can increase the rent, but you still have to match that rent from other units that are being offered at. So these are the properties you can buy as real estate investor in residential properties. I hope this has broadened your vision. If you are an investor and you were just looking at some detached house or attached house as an investment property, you can also look at these properties that might require less down payment, that might require to take less mortgage on you, or whatever your finances allow, and you can still make more money out of it. I hope this video has given some value. Please like and subscribe, and also comment if you have any questions so that I will get some idea to shoot next video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.